I'm trying to be calm.
Good idea.
I'm very angry about this, about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Less so for it being Charlie Kirk himself. I didn't follow him very closely. Okay, I mean, I knew of him, I saw his videos, etc.
Nobody should be assassinated for their political views, particularly in America. You know, I mean, it's just wrong.
But it's the response by the thousands and thousands and thousands of blue sky liberals who are just gleeful.
I'm not seeing that, Stephen. Of course, I haven't been over on X, but I've been reading Blue Sky, and what I'm seeing mostly is people saying the same thing I said. Nobody should be killed for their politics. I mean, there's an occasional person who's going after Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk was, you know, a racist and a bigot and all that, but still, he didn't deserve, he didn't deserve to be shot.
That's part of it right there. That's part of it right there. Look, that's part of it right there. I get your newsletter, and when I can, I listen to your show. And every single day, it is constant harangues and screeds and, in your words, rants about how Republicans are, and these words are my words, although it's based on what you have said, about how Republicans are irredeemably evil, okay? And
not a phrase I would use, Stephen. I'm opposed to Republican policies. I'm hoping that enough Republicans wake up to stop this right-wing train toward fascism.
You know, we've had things of every minute, of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year for the past 10 years. The far left has screamed about how Donald Trump is an authoritarian. Donald Trump is a dictator. He's a white supremacist.
That's what he calls himself.
Neo-Nazi.
He called himself a dictator.
Trump is Orange Hitler for a day, and he was joking.
No, he's not. He's not joking. He's got masked. He's got masked secret police taking people down. This is dictator stuff, Stephen.
More largely against Republicans in general. The same thing has been said, that they are, yes, admittedly my words, but that's what I get from reading your words, irredeemably evil. You put all that out.
Yeah, again, I repudiate that phrase. I grew up in a Republican family, Stephen. My dad died a Republican. As my father was dying and I was sitting there with my hand on his shoulder, I looked at the wall next to him and there were his two favorite pictures, me shaking hands with Pope John Paul II and George W. Bush on the deck of the Abraham Lincoln declaring mission accomplished. I don't think that Republicans are evil. I think Republican policies are evil. And I'm very clear about that.
And I don't think the rhetoric that gets put out there, and other people on the left, I don't think they're making that distinction at all.
I get it that your feelings have been bruised, and I get it that that's like one of the most common things on the right is like, oh my God, we're under attack. We're so we're the victims here. We're the minority. We're persecuted. I get it, Stephen. I don't believe it.
Tom,
I don't think you're under attack. I think you guys are in control right now.
I'm not even a Republican, Tom. I'm not even a Republican.
So?
Matthew Dowd, I think that's his name, MSNBC analyst. He was fired last night.
Yeah.
But what he said was correct, even though it was directed at the wrong person. He said, I always go back to hateful thoughts, lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
I agree.
And you cannot...
So tell me, Stephen, what I've said that's hateful.
Lately...
Stephen, tell me what I've said that's hateful.
Political extremism is coming from the left.
Give me one example.
All the way back with...
Give me one example of anything that I've said that is hateful or that is inciting people to violence.
If you keep putting things out, or people on the left, that everybody to the right of Chairman Mao is worse than Hitler.
Okay, pointing out that we've got masked secret police on the streets taking people down.
Right-wing rhetoric all the time. You talk about the dangers of right-wing rhetoric all the time, and that it incites people. But when it's left-wing rhetoric, hateful left-wing rhetoric,
so again,
calling people Hitler, calling people Nazis, that in itself
The Nazis based their ideology on race. The right wing right now has been going after black people and brown people forever, Stephen. I don't see people bringing swastika flags to Democratic events, but I can show you 100 pictures of people with swastika flags showing up at events for Donald Trump.
They'll bring communist flags to Democrat events. I mean, listen, can you imagine someone walking down the street?
I've never been at a Democratic event where there was somebody was carrying a hammer and sickle or a Chinese star. Never seen it.
Oh, please. I see that at rallies all the time. I see that at these protests all the time.
Then we're looking.
Can you imagine? I'll finish with this if I can.
Sure.
Can you imagine someone walking down the street with a T-shirt with Goebbels' face on it? No, you can't. It's disgusting. But you damn well know that on every university you'll find a dozen useful idiots wearing Che Guevara shirts. When you're talking about hateful rhetoric, the call is coming from within your own house, Tom.
Che Guevara was
coming from within your own house.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're making me laugh here, Stephen.
Yes, I'm angry.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm angry. I'm sorry, but...
No, I get that. But, going after people wearing Che Guevara shirts is a little different, frankly, than the last time there was a Proud Boy rally here in Portland that I saw. There were a bunch of guys wearing T-shirts that had pictures of people being thrown out of helicopters, and the slogan underneath, per Pinochet, and the slogan underneath said, "Free helicopter rides for liberals." I mean, that's a whole different thing from having a picture of Che Guevara, who's been dead for 50 years, who was fighting for the independence of Cuba against a corrupt, mafia-aligned Batista.
Oh, my God, you're defending murderous communists. You're doing that.
At the time, Richard Nixon and Dwight Eisenhower were pretty much in favor of what Che Guevara and Fidel Castro were doing. I strongly encourage you to go back and read your Cuban history. There was a year there where Castro came to the United States. He wanted to play for the Yankees. Castro tried to cut a deal with Nixon. And then when Nixon said, no, I can't cut a deal with you guys. I'm not going to cut a deal with you guys. And this was like 6 months after the Cuban Revolution. At that point, then Castro turns to the Soviet Union and says, okay, let's make a deal.
I seriously doubt
Stephen, look it up.
That was what turned him. I believe that he was always a murderous tyrant and had always
He was a revolutionary.
Enamored of
he was a revolutionary, but
why isn't communism given the same public opprobrium and disgust, and rightfully so disgust, for Nazism?
Well, I think it largely is. Unfortunately, there aren't any communist countries left anymore. I mean, the Chinese call themselves communists, but what they're doing is, state-regulated capitalism. The Russians no longer call themselves communists. The Vietnamese call themselves communists, but it's really just kind of an authoritarian state. But yeah, Stephen, I'm no fan of communism. If you've listened to the program at all, you know that.
I
get it that you're upset.
I don't see.
And I do have to move along.
I don't see how you. One final point. I don't see how you can direct your ire towards right-wing extremism and totally ignore left-wing extremism. I just don't see it. I'm sorry.
The goal of right-wing extremism prevent basically black and brown people from having a role in society, to diminish the role of women, to trash the rights and the life, just the right to life itself of queer people, trans people. And I'm not seeing anything like that on the left, Stephen.
Woke ideology, especially in our schools, teaches the non-white students to hate the white students.
No, it doesn't.
White students to hate themselves.
No, it doesn't.
And all the students to hate our country.
None of the above, Stephen.
Look at the things.
Acknowledging the true history of the United States is not encouraging people to hate the United States. If anything, it's encouraging people to embrace the United States and make it a better country.
You don't do that through woke and DEI and critical race theory. Those things seek to divide.
Stephen, acknowledging that for 500 years in this country, or on this continent, and for 250 years in this country, black people have been murdered, raped, sold, shot, lynched. Brown people have been attacked. Queer people have.
Nobody's ignoring that.
When you say that you should not have woke indoctrination in schools, you're saying that we shouldn't be teaching our young people that these things happened, and that's crazy.
No,
that is anti-American.
Young people that white kids are responsible for that.
Nobody has said that, Stephen.
Ashamed of being white.
Stephen, I get it that Republicans are constantly saying that. I have never heard a Democrat say that any white person today is responsible for what happened before. But all white people today have some complicity in the ongoing oppression of black and brown people. And let's just, if you can't own that, you've got a problem.
Look in a mirror, Tom. You need to look long and hard in a mirror, okay? Because of the things that you say that go out there. Again,
I haven't heard you quote me on anything that qualifies for that kind of characterization.
Tom, it is the constant, continual, never-ending running down of anybody on the right. Constant, effectively calling evil. And what are deranged leftists to think from that? What do you do with Hitler? You kill Hitler.
Yeah. Well, killing Hitler would have been a fine idea.